Ah. Hi, good afternoon, Juan. How are you?
Very well. And yourself? How are you now?
Thank you. Well, perfect. A little warm here, but
Everywhere.
yeah, exactly. So, well, today we have a very special live because there are a lot of news in the new regulation and like good news, right, Juan? A lot of advantages for renewals, to have work permit for students,
Exactly.
and I don't know, the renewals are going to be for 4 years. Now we will explain everything, or maybe we don't have time to explain everything and we have to do 2 lives. I don't know. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that for the people that will see this is it's important. They will have a
Exactly.
lot of options right now that September is coming, and they have to decide if they modify from a student to work permit. Maybe they don't have, or from busca de empleo, and they don't have a job offer, and maybe we have some solutions that we were thinking yesterday. You remember, Juan? Uh,
Yes.
that because when you have a job offer and you are a student, there is no problem. But now we will be able to have job offers from less hours, that maybe makes things easier. Several contracts that before this was only possible with the cleaning ladies, the housekeepers, and and for the renewals, you don't need to work 9 months or 6 months. They will even renew your permits after just working for 3 months. This is like a very little summary that now we will explain
Exactly. Yeah, I actually
everything
have
in
like
depth.
a small list that we can say
Perfect.
which are the new updates on this rule. Now we can
Very
say
good.
first of all, students can work. Not all students, but apparently some of the courses will allow students to work directly, which means that the employer does not have to request a special permit for the students, which is an improvement on the situation that was before. But we have to clarify and we have to be certain about what kind of students. For example, we are not sure if the language course students can directly go to work. Maybe they have to
So,
request a permit or not.
exactly. But let's explain something, because just in case some students don't know this. All of you can apply for a work permit if it's not related. Okay, so all of you can apply for the for a work permit. That now, instead of 20 hours, is for 30 hours, so you can work more. So this is not to modify from a student to a work permit, it's to be both things at the same time. So you are a student and you are allowed to work. So when it's a job that is not related to what you are studying, before you could work for 20 hours, now you can work for 30 hours. But the problem, and still is still a problem right now because they haven't changed this, is that the employer needs to do the application in immigration for these 30 hours. Okay, so sometimes this is something that doesn't happen. Okay,
Exactly.
but this is just like the worst case scenario, because we now Juan will explain when you can work without needing the employer to apply for the permit. So because, as we have said, all of you, if you are, I don't know, studying marketing, and you want to work in a restaurant, you can do it for 30 hours right now, but the employer will ask for this. But this is like worst case scenario, because the second option is the one that Juan was explaining, right? That you can work as an employee and as a freelance, whatever you prefer, or both things, without applying for any permit. But this is just for some kind of studies, right, Juan?
Correct. I think that the novelties can be summarized on what we're saying, students can work, not all students, but some of them can work directly. New kinds of, well, the old kind of first employee cuenta ajena, the archaic form of student of direct permit to work, it's improved because they are updating the catalog of job positions that can be applied for. We have a new kind of arraigo, the arraigo para la formación. We have new requirements for the arraigo laboral and for the arraigo social. We have new conditions for the renewal of the permits. Both the requirements are more flexible now, and we have novelties on the duration of the time of the permits, the compatibility with the permits now that we have both cuenta ajena and cuenta propia, and new requirements for the freelance. I think that for our clients, this will be like the most interesting novelties that this new reform has, and we will go into
And
detail
some
of
for
this of the
family
reform.
members that it seems reading the law, it seems that, for example, now if you want to go through a new path, you will not need private insurance. It seems, we don't know that, but maybe you will not need private insurance. For example, if you are Spanish and you want to bring your parents, because it was very difficult to get a private insurance for elder people. So it seems that this is also a new thing, but probably not a lot of family members are in the audience. But if you are, this is perfect, because this could be also for the parents of the of your couple. Okay, so this is something that is very good. So, but let's start from the beginning. So, Juan, being able to study, to work, being able to work without a permit, okay? Because I have already explained the one of 30 hours with the employer applying. But second option and better option, being able to work or as a freelance or as an employee for certain people, the ones that are studying what, Juan? University, right?
Exactly. We're talking about superior courses, but not all of the superior courses. So they're saying that permanent courses of a university, that could be a master's, that could be a professional course, something that will give you the ability to perform a profession, these kind of courses. And we are going to publish, of course, which ones will apply for this permit. But we know that maybe, or we think that maybe, for example, language courses will not be covered, but we are finding out because it's just so new. But
So for sure, the language course, I think, is not covered, okay? But the language course, the usual language course, the Spanish language course from the Instituto Cervantes, okay? But we have to see, because they talk about other, what it says, the regulation is formación regulada para el empleo. So these are courses that are designed to be more prepared to get a job. So so maybe there are also Spanish courses about that. I don't know. I don't know. We have to check that. We have we are finding out, because maybe then it's not good to study in order to do this. The one from the Instituto Cervantes, but it's good to study the ones that have the universities or any other schools that have this like certification, right, Juan? This is like a certification.
yeah,
Is
the ones that
certification?
are
No.
directly intended in order to give you like a job, like, okay, you are going to be a technician that will be installing solar panels. So these
Yes.
kind of courses which are intended to get a special job, for sure will be within this kind of job permit. But let's say, okay, you are a student in Spain and you want to work for 30 hours, you will be able to do so without having to request a special permit. You go directly if you are enrolled in one of these courses. But that doesn't mean that it is the best option for you, because you will remain as a student. That's very important. Okay, so it's just you will be in Spain for a couple of months or years, or you are not planning to live here a long time, and hell, you are studying and you want to have a little job to earn some money. Now there's no requirement about being your main source of income. It doesn't matter if it will be part of your source of income. then you can do this job without having to apply for this permit, as long as we are within this catalog of courses. We try to provide you with this catalog, but maybe it's not interesting for you. Maybe we can apply for a different kind of permit.
Yes, because you remain a student, okay? And you will be able to do so as long as you are a student, and you need to keep doing the course or yes, whatever studies you are doing, in order to keep this status that you know that is worse status from all the status that we can choose. A student is worse than residency, right?
Exactly. Forget about your nationality application of Spanish as Spanish national. The long-term European Union will only count half of the time. So it could be for some kind of people who want to study and want to have a job and are not planning to have long plans in Spain. Okay, so just like that, I think.
Okay.
If
So,
not, uh-huh.
no, sorry.
Yeah. If not, remember, always when you are studying a superior course or a course in Spain, you are allowed to perform internships with an agreement, with a convenio. These famous practicas, you are already allowed to do that because these are not linked to a job contract. So you can even switch or eventually go to a contract and get a residence permit with practicas. Or if you don't want to switch, you may keep studying, and then if a company offers you a position as an internship, as a becario, as a practicante, you may perform those practicas without needing to apply for a different permit. But at the end of that, you will be able to apply maybe for a permiso de residencia para práctica. So it's not for everyone. It's of course it's an improvement now. If you're studying in Palma de Mallorca and you get some work at a hotel, and people need workers in Spain, that's why they are doing this, because they are not finding a lot of workers in here. Now you will be able to do it without having your employer having to sponsor you, having to wait 5 months in order to get the permit, having to get documents, having to do a bureaucratic procedure. You just go and you get registered in Social Security and you can work. And remember, up to 30 hours per week. That will be the limitation for it. But
Exactly. But if
if
you
your
are a
course is not,
freelancer, and if you are a freelancer, it's very, very difficult to find out how many hours you are working. Okay. But as an employee, which is maybe what is interesting for a lot of our audience, yes, 30 hours. So, okay, let's go to the interesting part also. So it seems that the modification that we can do from a student to work permit is going to be a little easier, because freelance applications and cuenta ajena applications, okay, it seems that they have lowered the requirements. For example, freelancers, okay, because we do a lot of freelancers. So now they accept in the regulation that just you being your self-employed and not creating employees, so just what we call in Spain autoempleo, which is self-employment, it's okay, right, Juan? Which was one of the main reasons of denial, is okay, you are not creating
employment.
jobs, or you are not creating like a lot of economic activity.
Yeah, and if we mix this with the permit that we told you before, maybe we can even develop a strategy towards modification of a residence permit. Remember, after 3 years of being a student, you can modify to a cuenta propia, and this is something that we use a lot with you people directly here. You are a student for 3 years now. You want to switch to a cuenta propia permit. If you are already a freelance in Spain, because you get this, you are registered there, then when you want to switch, you will not have to show the potential of your
Easy,
business.
exactly, it's
You
easier.
will be showing the business by itself. So it will be much easier to change from a student working as a freelance to a proper freelance permit. So that
It's
will
true.
be
That
a
is
very
much
good strategy.
easier. But remember, maybe if you are, for example, an auxiliar de conversación, you are not going to be able to become a freelancer as a student, because you are not studying a título superior or this one to improve, tendente a mejorar el desempleo, ¿no?
Not directly, but they could apply for the permit, and as we think that is going to be without much people applying for this kind of permit because they will not need it, maybe it will be easier. So not directly, as a student of a language course or an auxiliar de conversación, you will not be able to apply to get this permit directly, but you may be able to apply for this permit with more flexible requirements.
Exactly. The one that you apply, not the one that is automatic. The one that you apply, you are granted with that right. So you keep doing some things regarding freelance. So then when you want to switch from a student to the whole permit, freelance permit, you can show that you are successful with your activity. So it's easier. And well, with the employees, there is also less requirement. I think that the thing that I like the most is that now we can show different employers. So if they are in the same activity, so before we needed to show an employment of 1 year contract and you should be earning the minimum salary and just with one employer, and this was very difficult. Some people get it, of course, but sometimes you get 15 hours here and 15 hours there, and this was not accepted just only for the housekeeping, the cleaning ladies, or nannies, also. Now for any, it is going to be accepted for any activity, as long as both employers or the three employers are in the same activity. For example, language schools, 2 language or 3 language schools, this will be okay. And you need to get in total 30 hours instead of 40, which means that the salary requirements are less. I put it here, is 870, right, Juan?
875, that's correct.
Exactly. So much easier to get that than to get just one employer offering you 1,000 euros. And also, it seems that they are going to accept less than a year. But this is tricky because just, I don't know, 2-3 months ago, or even more already, they do a labor new regulation, and getting shorter contracts of less than a year, this is very restrictive right now. So employers cannot offer 6 months contracts very easily, just in certain circumstances. But for example, we were talking about this, Juan and I, yesterday, is maybe this mother leave, or how do you say when someone is pregnant? It's not
Yes,
mother leave, no?
leave,
Maternity leave.
yeah, maternity leave, yeah.
Maternity leave. So if someone is in maternity leave and they are offering you a contract for this that is not a year, this could work. It seems that could work, right, Juan? We have to see
Exactly.
this.
Yeah, we
But
have
if
to
you
check it
read
out.
the regulation, it should be okay, I think.
Yeah,
If you can choose and if you can get a 1 year contract, I think it's perfect. But or indefinido, of course. But these kind of situations, I think we think they should be accepted as we read the regulation. Right, Juan?
exactly. Yeah. It's just to say that with this new reforma laboral, the changes that were in the law, now Spain mandates that most of the contracts, like 90% of the contracts, will have to be indefinite ones. So you
Yeah.
cannot make temporary contracts, but on the exceptions that I know I was just saying, like maternity leaves and maybe special cases like teachers, because teachers are not temporary contracts, but they have like a special kind of contracts because they do
Fijo
not work.
discontinuo, ¿no? Yeah.
Exactly, they do not work in the summer. So yes, maybe that's why they made this change, because what they are actually trying to do here is to try to make everything more flexible. That's what we have to understand. It's not putting more roadblocks. It's trying to make it easier for you to apply for a residence permit or to apply for a permit. And this is because the Spanish government has realized that it's hard to find the employees here in Spain for some sectors, and the employers were saying we need more employees, and we know where to find them. And from this, we can go to the next part of the reform, which is the normal cuenta ajena. And just to give you an idea, we as a specialist of immigration law, I think that I've never seen a direct cuenta ajena without an exception. I mean, we've done lots of cuenta ajenas which come from students to cuenta ajena,
Yeah.
Chilean or Peruvians that come with the exception, but all the other kind of cuenta ajenas, nobody was doing this kind of procedure because it wasn't possible, because you had to be on a list of a catalog that says that your position, it's supposed to be very hard to find an employee, or you have to get a report from for the employment office to get this permit. And this took us to 1.5 years in order to get. So it was not something that nobody was willing to wait 1.5 years to hire someone. So we had to go to high qualified worker, we had to go to intra companies, we had to go to any other kind of permits, but never to a normal cuenta ajena. Now the catalog, and this is the new reform, is going to change, and they're supposed to be changing and updating this list every 3 months, and the list has to be
And
real.
in every city. And in every city.
Right now the catalog is more than 10 years old, and they are saying, okay, the positions that are there, some they don't even exist in reality anymore. So they have to be according to what real life needs. So that will be the next change. So you could be applying for a cuenta ajena directly in Spain without having to be a diver specialized in something of the ships. Maybe if your position is not finding anyone
Before
in
the 3
Spain.
years, he means, because what the reason why you need to be 3 years as a student in order to modify to cuenta ajena, okay, we are not saying that, so we are not mentioning the contrato de prácticas, as Juan said, and everything, but that is only if you have studied a degree or a master's degree, okay, in the last 2 years. But that and that remains the same, and it's a very good option. But now we are talking about these ones. If you are studying something that is not the university, okay, and you want to modify, you need to be 3 years, because the law says that after 3 years as a student, you are not under an employment situation. So this was the only way, as Juan is saying, to be able to be an employee if you are not a highly qualified, and all the other options that already the law says that you are not under an employment situation. So in this case, they are going to, as Juan is saying, they are going to do this catalog. It's a catalog in which they are going to try to be like more real, and they are going to check in every city what are the professions that are needed, and every 3 months, right, Juan? You told us. So every 3 months we can check that catalog, and if your activity in that catalog, we can apply for this permit, the cuenta ajena, without needing to be 3 years as a student. So tomorrow, because you are here legally, or from outside, if you are outside and you have a job offer and it's not as a highly qualified worker, which, for example, a highly qualified worker, which is very good because it's very quick, but also has some inconvenience, like you are attached to the company. But
Exactly.
Juan, I really, the thing that I like the most, I think, from this new regulation are the new opportunities when you renew. Because first of
Yes.
all, yes, you do one renewal, because the first year, okay, they give it to you for 1 year, like always, okay. In the régimen general we are talking, okay, in the cuenta ajena o cuenta propia, the first year is just for 1 year. But then and now we will explain the requirements for the renewal, which are less, but once you do the renewal, they give it to you for 4 years directly, and you are able to be both freelance and cuenta ajena. So imagine that you really want to be an employee, but you don't get an employer or employers, because remember that now can be several employers that give you a contract and all the escrituras, so the articles of incorporation and the taxes. That is something that they ask for the immigration procedure, and it's true that it's difficult to get this from employers if they don't know you. You can do a freelance permit, which is going to be, it seems, a little easier than before, or they are going to be more flexible. The requirements are the same for the freelance visa, but they are not going to be so picky if you are just doing your activity for you and not and just earning the salary, like the money for you, and not creating more jobs and a huge company. Okay, so you can become a freelance for the first year if you don't get that employer, and when you renew, you already can you can work as an employee for any company. So you will not need an employer to give you all the documents. Just you renew your freelance visa, and you can work, and you have the permit for 4 years, or the other way around. Freelance permit are complicated. So maybe you are an employee, you have the cuenta ajena, you want to be freelance, but it is a huge procedure. The freelance permit, it really is the one that we work the most. So we have to do a lot of things. We have to do business plans, contract with the clients, a lot of things. So if you are an employee and you want to become a freelance, when you renew that, again, they give it to you for 4 years, you can be at the same time a freelance, or at the same time, or just a freelance, and not continue to be an employee. This is very important, I think, for our clients, and not clients, for everyone that wants to do this. First of all, just one renewal, not several renewals, and just all the flexibility when you renew. And let's see the renewals. The requirements for the renewals are very, very low right now, Juan, because I was writing in Spain Guru the other day, because someone was saying she wanted to switch to a non-lucrative visa because she was a freelance, and she signed down, or how you say, when you cancel your, she was not a freelance anymore, because
Okay.
she didn't want to pay more the enrollment as a freelance. And I told her, wait, don't decide to switch to non-lucrative, because maybe you can switch already with what you have done, with what you have done, and you are going to be able to be an employee if you don't want to be a freelance anymore with this renewal. Because Juan, you can tell us what are the requirements. It's just working for 3 months, the minimum
Exactly.
requirement.
Yeah, but about what you were saying, we are talking about most of the advantages of getting a long-term permit. Right now, you are getting them with the renewal, so
Yes,
it's extremely
exactly.
good. So it's very good. And yes, for the renewal, now it's much better. You get both permits, but also it will be easier to renew. So now, instead of asking you for 9 months per year and changing employees, or keeping the first employment for at least 6 months, no, now they are saying, if you can show that you've worked for 3 months in the last year, and then you are now registered as an with the unemployment, like you are seeking for a job, then we will renew your permit. Or maybe you are not, but maybe you are getting any other kind of unemployment benefits, or any kind of benefits, like social benefits from the Spanish government. They will renew your permit directly without having to prove, I have another contract, I've worked more than 9 months, I already have enough parole to renew. No, we are going to be more flexible with the renewals, and this is according to the situation. Most of these changes, we have to say, are just adapting what we've already won sometimes in the court. For example,
Yeah.
what I now was saying about the self-employment permits, about hey, I'm going to be a freelance, I'm not going to create jobs. the law doesn't require you to create jobs. It's just something that is going to add more value to your project, but it's not mandatory. And when we got those denials saying it's just a proposal for self-employment, we went to the court and we always won those cases. Not they are saying, okay, let's not have to work to court now. Self-employment is valid, and the same is happening here. They know that the situation has changed, the rules of the game has changed. We've seen with COVID that people get fired a lot, and they cannot be requiring the employees to maintain certain months of jobs. If you prove that you've been 3 months, then you will be able to renew your permit. That with the more flexible conditions for the renewals, which will be also more flexible conditions for the ones that we are talk about now, which will be the new conditions for the arraigo social that I know I was saying, the conditions for the arraigo laboral, which now are more clear than before, because before they were not very clear, and the new arraigo para la formación, the education arraigo, which will be an option for those people that we were not able to give them a proper solution, that had this famous búsqueda de empleo, but they didn't find a job and they don't want to go back to just being a normal student. Okay, but yes, I don't know if you want me or you want to explain the
Whatever
different
you
kind of
prefer.
arraigos. Yeah. So the arraigos, now we have three main arraigos, okay, which will be the arraigo social, the arraigo
That this
familiar.
is the one, the arraigo social is the one very, very similar for like the modification from the student to work permit. In fact, I need to explain a lot this in my consultations. They don't know the difference between modifying from a student to cuenta ajena to from an arraigo social. So the arraigo social is when you are irregular, okay? So imagine you have been 3 years as a student, for example, and you haven't renewed for a 4th year. If you haven't renewed, you are irregular. Maybe because you didn't get, I don't know, the enrollment in the course, maybe because, I don't know. There are a lot of reasons why people don't do the renewal for the 4th year and they become irregular. So in that case, you do an arraigo social, which are very, very similar requirements, but a little more because you need to show criminal records and informe de arraigo. So 2 more requirements, but all the other things are the same from the modification from a student to a work permit, but it's when you have become irregular. So in this case, Juan, arraigo social will have those advantages, right? 30 hours, as I told you, different contracts are acceptable, and that's all, but it's a lot. So these 2 new things, in order to be able to get this permit, it is very good, and they will give you a residency permit, which we always say is not is better than the student
Exactly,
permit.
because it will allow you to modify to a normal permit, and because you will be able to apply for the Spanish nationality eventually, depending on your current nationality and your stay here. For that,
Exactly.
for the arraigo social.
So the
Then
other one is laboral, right, Juan?
the laboral, and
You
now we
explain the
have
laboral.
clear rules of the game, because before we were talking about you having to sue your employer, the Spanish government having to get involved, working legally or not legally. So it was not very clear, and the court had to amend everything. So now they say, okay, forget about people who are not working legally in Spain. That will be a different kind of permit, which will be a extraordinary circumstances permit, which for people who collaborate with the Spanish authorities, labor authorities. So not people who were working illegally. Now they say, if you've worked in Spain legally for at least 6 months, and they were talking about hours, 6 months, 30 hours, or 1 year, 15 hours, you will be able to apply for this kind of arraigo. But this work will include the freelance work and the employee work. And this is intended for some time for people who, for example, were a high qualified worker and then they didn't have a job offer, they didn't renew, they got fired, and they just become illegal, but they've worked a lot in Spain. So after working 1 year in Spain, they just become illegal aliens here, and they have to now, what do I do? Sometimes they don't even speak the language. Sometimes they want to do something on their own. Then we will be talking about an arraigo laboral, which will be allowing them to get a job permit, and it will value their work before. And the requirements are less, just as I was saying, 30 hours for the last 6 months. And you had to be here for at least 2 years. That's very important. You were here for 2 years, and in those 2 years, you work legally for at least 30 hours on 6 months on or 15 hours per 1 year. Then you can apply for the arraigo laboral.
The other day I had a consultation that she also could do the arraigo social, but she could also do arraigo laboral because this was the situation. She did a búsqueda de empleo, okay, so 1 year residency. Then she did a prácticas for another year, but the employer didn't enroll her in Social Security for the prácticas laborales until 6 months later, something like that. So when she tried to modify to cuenta ajena, they denied the modification to cuenta ajena because immigration office said, this was in Valencia, I think, immigration office was saying that she didn't work for all the year that she was showing for the contrato de prácticas. So she could do arraigo laboral because she could show that she's been 2 years, okay? It doesn't matter if you have been regular or irregular, but in this case, usually you've been living regular because you show that you've been working. So and she has been working with the prácticas laborales for 6 months, so arraigo laboral was okay. Because Juan, I sent you also today also another ruling from the court saying that was okay to work as a student, which is also something interesting.
Yes, exactly. And I think that we've covered the arraigo laboral and the
exactly.
social.
And the formación, this is the new one.
Exactly, the new one, the arraigo para la formación, which is something that they seem to have imported from Germany because they were already doing this there, which is
this is very good for people that doesn't want to continue with the auxiliar de conversación program of with any other studies and they don't have a work offer or a freelance project, right, Juan? And so
exactly, they will not be working immediately. They will get a residence permit. They will have to sign a commitment in order to enroll into a special course, the course that we were talking about before, about getting about getting this job permit directly without having to work. So it's a certain kind of list, of course, but you will be able to do it directly if you sign a commitment of being enrolled on these courses. You will not get a residence permit that will allow you to work directly, but this residence permit will be a normal residence permit, not as a student. So you will be able to study, and then when you finish this course, they will allow you to modify this permit into a job permit or to extend this permit, because this is one of the issues of the búsqueda de empleo. You cannot extend the búsqueda de empleo. The búsqueda de empleo is limited for 1 year, exactly. And you can modify to a freelance, to a cuenta ajena, but sometimes you don't get a job. So after you finish the búsqueda de empleo, you may have the option of, hey, let's apply for the arraigo para la formación. I'm going to enroll into a course. I will be able to be 1 year legally additional in Spain. And then if I want another year, I will be able to apply for an extension of 1 year and apply for this arraigo para la formación and then become an employee. Okay, so I think that is a very good change. Let's see how it goes. Let
me read it in Spanish. In Spanish, what this kind of course says, okay, is formación conducente a la obtención de certificación de aptitud técnica o habilitación profesional para una ocupación o promovido por los servicios públicos de empleo. So this it seems very complicated, but we are going to find out what are the list of these courses, and that's all. We will know what are these courses, and this is an option for you if you want to get a residency, which is not a student permit anymore, but you will not be able to work, okay? It's just for you if you've been 2 years here and you want at least a residency, and you are willing to enroll in this kind of courses. Well, okay, let's see if this is interesting for the people, right, Juan?
Exactly. Let's see how it goes. And we can move to the arraigo familiar, which already existed, but now is going to cover more people on the arraigo familiar. Now we're talking about people who will be able to get their spouses, their husbands. Well, we're talking about the Spanish relatives, okay? So if you are a Spanish the relative of a Spanish citizen and you are a spouse, you can apply. And I think that is going to be, and we are not sure yet, parallel to the familiar comunitario, to the European regime, you can either apply for an arraigo familiar without having to show economical means, which was like the issue with the familiar de
Correct.
comunitario, with the European
Exactly.
Union family member, because that permit requires you to show that you have a minimum amount of money, or that your partner has a job, or that your partner it's a freelance. Now they will not ask for that. They may ask you for some other documents like the criminal records, which they don't ask you on the familiar comunitario, but they will not ask you for the economical means. And they also are including the ascendants of more than 65 years without having to prove that they are at depending on you, which is a very good improvement, because this was very hard, especially for people who were in countries that were not allowed to send money directly. And so in relatives which are older than 65 years, you will include your parents, of course, but also the parents of your partner. So your parents-in-law. So if you are so brave as to want to bring your parents-in-law to Spain, you will be able to do it. I mean, if you are asking to get your parents-in-law into Spain, they should not even ask you for anything. You are a saint just by asking for them. So you should be getting the permit directly.
I don't know if that is good or bad. Okay,
Right.
so that is the summary. I think maybe we will be now. We are going to answer the questions, and I think we should see what are the thing that has more questions, and maybe do a specific live of the procedures that maybe are more interesting for the people. So nomad visa, not yet, not yet. It was expected to be in June. We haven't heard about it. I think it's going to be September, October. But right now, if you need to work for a company outside, the best option is a freelance permit from here. But wait, because I think September, October, we will see the nomad visa. Okay, another question. Raquel, because I cannot. Okay. Madison, what about if you are currently on a tourist visa in between student visas, but are not able to reapply for a student visa? Going to be coming on 3 years in September. Well, this is what we were talking about, right? So, first of all, and let's do this clarification, Juan. Immigration, I think they should, but immigration doesn't consider that you are as a tourist when you finish your student permit. And if you read some information of some consulates, you can see that is true. But when you apply from here, they don't consider you are as a tourist. They think that you need to go out and come in. This is just a first clarification. You don't end your student and you start your 90 days tourist. And it's true that in some countries in Europe, they think this. And it's true that I read it in some of the websites of some consulate from Spanish consulate, but they are not applying this criteria from inside Spain. So, but if you haven't renewed the permit for a 4th year, then is the option that we were saying. Of course, you could do an arraigo, okay? If you have a job offer, as I told you, 30 hours, everything I told you, or you can do the one moment, Raquel, or you can do the arraigo para formación, right, Juan? The one that you were explaining
Exactly. If
right
you have been
away.
here for more than 2 years and she's saying that she's been here for 3, then you can apply for arraigo para la formación, depending on the courses.
Okay, the second part of the question. Sorry, Raquel, please. Be attending to meeting tonight, and my question is long. My boyfriend and I have been auxiliares for 3 years, and I live in Spain for the 3 years come this September. We were really looking to apply for arraigo social, okay, that or trying to do a program again for 4 years afterwards applying for a student modification. My question is, are we able to do anything as of now being on a tourist visa and almost hitting out 3 years mark? I'm confused on how the new situation will affect. Okay, so the answer is the same. If you are not getting a 4th year of an auxiliar de conversación, so you are not renewing, you can do an arraigo. And it is true, it's a lot of documents, but now it's even a little easier. Remember, you can do a freelance permit, which it seems that they are going to be a little more flexible with our project, or you can be as an employee with less hours, with 30 hours and several contracts. That are your options, which are very good to work if you are not going to get another auxiliar de conversación program. Or the option of arraigo para formación is you get that kind of courses that we are going to find out which one are those, but you will not be able to work. So maybe it's not interesting for you. Let's see. Okay, another question, Sophie. If my parents immigrate to Spain under the non-lucrative visa, would I now be able to get a residency through them? And yes, Juan, you are already able.
If you are applying at the same time in some consulate, that is the
Yes.
requirement. If
Like
they are
Miami.
ready here, exactly. So that will be, you have to apply together and you have to prove that you are ready, that you depend on them. Like you are studying, you don't have a job, you are not married anymore, you are getting money from them. We do a lot of applications of non-lucrative, which include the son and daughters, or which are more than 20 years old even. But we have to show that they depend on their parents. But it's ideal that you apply directly with them at the same time, depending on the consulate.
Also, there is a very good option, because when you are the son or the daughter of someone who has a legal residency in Spain, you can get a work permit if a company wants to hire you. So that is a very good option. If you have a job offer, or your parents know someone that can offer you a job, which now it doesn't have to be 40 hours. It seems that it's going to be 30 hours, okay, because we think that it must be the same requirements as they explained for the arraigo and all that. You can get the residency and a work permit because you are the daughter of a legal resident. So that is a very good option if they can offer you a job. A company can offer you a job. Okay, another question. 2 years complete without contract, possible to apply for residencia residency permit. Okay, this is an arrival with financial means. Yes, it's always been accepted. The last 2-3 years, we were having problems, right, Juan, in Madrid, with just financial means. But this, we have done it before, and we should be able to do it with financial means, just an arrival. But they don't give you a work permit, okay? They give you just a residency permit. But you had some problems in the
the
lately,
Oficina
right?
de Madrid, the Comunidad de Madrid is not accepting this option without fighting. You have to fight a little to get it because of the Foreigners Office. But now you have this other option also, the Arraigo para la Formación, which will give you the possibility of just submitting the economical means, and that you are enrolled into a course, and will give you 2 years to find out what you want to do.
I would do that, or maybe try both.
Exactly.
Yes. Or maybe try the arraigo social just with financial means, and if they put like very picky, I would do the arraigo para la formación. Okay, Felix, have there been any changes to non-lucrative rules that may impact for the remote workers? No, because they are working in the remote job visa or the nomad visa. So let's wait for that. That will be the thing for the remote workers. Okay, will would like to know for the cuenta ajena, it says you don't need to have to be employed if you have worked for 9 months. Yes, for the renewal. However, do I have to be fired from my job or can I resign to be qualified? If it's 6 months, right, Juan? The only option that you need to be fired is when you have only worked for 3 months, okay? If you have worked for more than 3 months, ideally 6, because they don't say anything about 4 months, right? So ideally, if you have worked for 6 months, you could be the one quitting, okay? Okay, another question. Jordan, when you hand in your application for Arraigo Social, what are the requirements for the job contract? What information does the company who offers the contract needs to provide? Okay, so the contract, as we said, doesn't need to be now 1 year or indefinido, but it is very restrictive to do short contracts. So let's see if they have a maternal leave or some other circumstance, it could be shorter. If not, it's going to be indefinido because they are not 1 year or no one anymore. So it
Exactly.
should be indefinido or those other circumstances that the law allows, and 30 hours, or you can have 2 or 3 contracts or whatever. It doesn't have to be from one employer. From the company, they need articles of incorporation, taxes, and vida laboral, which is a document that shows how many employees they have. Okay, digital nomad visa, we already said, expecting to be ready in September, something like that, October. Elena, can we discuss the changes made to those in situación irregular? Well, we have already said this, arraigo social, arraigo laboral, and arraigo para la formación. You can go a little back and you will see the 3 options. As a language assistant with an expertise within the tourist period, it's not really a tourist period, but okay. Will I be able to apply for the permit? No. You can apply for the ones that I said, for all the arraigos, but not for a modification, because in order to do a modification, you need to be legal as a student renewing. Okay. Sophie, moving forward, what will be the best process to citizenship for auxiliar de conversación? So you know that auxiliar de conversación, you are a student, and as a student doesn't count for citizenship. You need to modify to a residency, or modify or do an arraigo because you don't renew, and then you start the requirement, the residency, and after 2 years, 2 years, or 10 years, whatever is your situation, you will be able to apply for the passport. Worsley, I am in this situation. I was auxiliar de conversación at ESPER, but I have found a language academy that wants me to take over for a pregnant employee in November. Okay, perfect. Then I am from the US. I'm trying my best to stay here legally. Will I apply for arraigo social? Yes, right, Juan? That is perfect. That is what we said.
Exactly. And well, yes, maybe we can even try for another kind of permit, but the permit expired on May 31st, so we are not actually on time to renew. So yes, it could
Yes, it's
be the new
perfect.
kind of arraigo. That will be the
Arraigo social?
exactly, the new kind of arraigo with flexible conditions directly. Yeah.
Exactly the case that we explained.
Mm-hmm.
So congratulations. And you know the arraigo now, you do it online. We can help you with everything, but the application is online, which is better, is quicker, okay? Okay, Luis, what if I contract with individuals for private lessons online? Can I apply as a freelance? You should, and it's something that I tutor American students online and get more than 1,000. You should. We have done freelance visa with remote contract. It's something that we fight. We have to fight a little, but it should be approved. We did I think we did a live or talking about this ruling in the court that we want about someone working remotely and getting the freelance visa. You remember, Juan, the ruling that you just won.
Exactly.
So yes, you should be able to do that. Connor, do language assistants with a beta program fall under the auxiliar rules? Yes. We are enrolled in the comillas pontificia. Yes. So is it possible to fall under the section or not needing permit? Well, the students of an auxiliar de conversación, they need a permit, right, Juan?
Exactly, because we're talking about a permit that is allowing you to work directly, because it's like a permit for practicas, okay, because you are enrolled into a comillas university and you are doing a course there, but it seems that you will be needing an additional permit if you want to work outside the program.
Exactly. So you will be able to work as an auxiliar de conversación, but so the company needs to apply, or you can apply for a freelance permit, but it's not automatic like if you were studying at the university and all that. Okay, Robin, from when will the new immigration laws implement from? 15 days already now, right? Because it was
The 15th
21
of August.
15
Exactly.
of August, okay. Have just submitted my paperwork for modification from a student visa to Cuenta Ajena. Will work contracts of 9 months be accepted for teaching position language academies? At language academies, it should be, so if they are tough, they will tell you that this is not acceptable because you did the application before the changes of law. If they and you should do again the application. If they are flexible, they will approve it because they will apply the new laws, right, Juan? Because
Exactly.
we do this kind of positions, but in a school, because the academies don't have fijo discontinuo, okay? The fijo discontinuo is for schools, right, Juan? Or academies also have fijo discontinuo, no?
Well, I think that they have official recognition, like with a full school year with the Comunidad Autónoma, they may be able to apply for a fijo discontinuo.
Okay. But it's not the same showing a 9-month course that a fijo discontinuo.
Exactly, it's different. That one is a temporary contract, and the other one is
exactly.
a fijo discontinuo. Yeah.
Exactly. So be careful with that, and let's see if they are flexible with the implementation of the new rules, even with applications from before. Can I apply them with expired TIE? No, but yes, with an arraigo, you can do a freelance permit with an arraigo if you have been 3 years. Arraigo social in this case. Hi, if I start my non-lucrative visa residency in Maliga for the first years, can I apply for my renewal in Madrid? Yes. A year later, yes. You have to be empadronado now in the new city. This is very usual. We do it a lot.
Yes.
Hey, Lee, is the non-lucrative visa renewal also for 4 years? No, I don't think so. They haven't said this, right?
No. Nothing.
No. Only for 2 years. And this is something that in some cities they ask for double the money, like in Valencia, right, Juan?
Exactly.
But in Madrid, for example, they don't ask for double the money. Yeah, sorry, I will rewrite my question in English for the purpose of the video. I have been an auxiliar de conversación for 5 years. This will be my 6 years. Could I modify to a freelance permit this fall while I'm technically a student? Yes. And count my stipend as freelance income.
Well,
count my stipend.
stipend, yeah, it's like a
The money that they get as an auxiliar de conversación. No, I don't think so. I have private students. That is correct. You can show the private students, but this is not enough income by itself to show any the requirement minimum income per month. Or should I wait until the spring towards the end? No, you can do it already. You don't need to end the year to modify. But I did it in the past, trying to show the money that you will get as an auxiliar de conversación, and was not accepted. Try to get more private students to show this. Remember that for the renewals, they don't check that the clients that sign for the first application are actually your clients. So you can talk to your friends and things like that, because then you can switch clients. Maybe they don't have to be your clients for the whole year or anything. So try to get some more clients or some friends to be your clients, and then you can renew. Okay, you will be able to, you will need to show clients, okay, for the renewal, but not the same clients as in the application. Andrew, hi. Nationality application question. If I'm working for a new employer than the one that I submitted to the application, would that affect my application? No, not at all. It's fine. Madison, do you need a contract in advance still for the arraigo social? Yes, or what we were saying, maybe with financial means, it's okay. And if it's difficult, the arraigo for a formación with the course. Okay, Darly, I am here in Spain as an English language assistant on a student visa with just renew for another year. I would like to get a job working in a restaurant outside my auxiliary duties. I understand that the owners of the restaurant will be the ones to ask for the authorization for me, yes, to be able to work for them, but they don't know what to do. Could you help me with the ones? Should they go to the Oficina Extranjería or another office? Yes, we can help you, okay? You can write us directly and we will give you a consultation, but they don't have to go anywhere. It's online, okay?
Exactly.
If they do
We
it
can do
themselves,
it.
it's online, yes.
We can do it, and important, these kind of permits, they are solving these kind of permits very fast. They say by the calendar that these are being solved in less than a month. So do not, I mean, what you can tell them in order to make things easier is, I have a lawyer, he will take care of everything, you just have to give them the paperwork and they will handle it. So they don't have to worry about going to extranjeria, they have having to do procedures. No, we'll do it on their behalf.
And it's online, okay? So don't worry about appointments and all that. Okay, Wesley, what do you need to get the informe de inserción social when you go to the office? What do you do? Okay, now they are not doing the curso de conoce tus leyes, right, Juan? Right now.
Exactly. They, well, at the
maybe
moment they are
do
not
it.
doing. They may recover it because this was with the excuse of COVID, but
Yeah.
I don't know when that is going to last. If that is going to last too much, but yeah, they will be asking you to go to an interview with them. They will ask you questions in Spanish to know that you know the language. They will want to know the proof that you've been here for the past 3 years, that you have not left for more than 120 days, that you have a job offer, and of course, most of the time is proof of you being here in the past 3 years. For that, anything will count, like gym receipts, like the transport receipts, anything counts. But the job offer will have to be especially perfect for the application to go well with the informe. Social workers tend to be flexible with this because they usually want to help you, but yes, that will be like the main requirements to get the informe de arraigo social.
Thank you, Juan. Geraldine, as a language assistant, does it matter what nationality you are? No. What if we also have dual citizenship? Will it be less time if we were to have an entry with my Latin passport? For the Spanish passport, yes. So you know that for with the Latin nationality, it's 2 years, okay? So, but that is for the Spanish passport. If you are an auxiliar de conversación, for the modification to a work permit, it doesn't have any difference, okay? So you need to get the residency, and after the residency, after 2 years, you apply for the passport, okay? Any other questions? Yes. Can you apply to a language school as a student and work that way, or do you need to be in an auxiliar de conversación from? Okay, if you are in a language school, you cannot work, but you can do what we said. You can work 30 hours if the employer do the application for you to be an employee, or if you do the freelance permit, right, Juan?
Exactly.
Okay, Laura. Hi, my third year of a student stay will end December, but it expires in October. Can I still apply 90 days before my 3 years? So, a ver, my 3 year student stay will end on December, but my year is there in October. So they allow you to apply 90 days uh, before the 3 years, okay? 90 days before the 3 years, but your NIE needs to be valid. If your NIE is not valid, you need to do a student renewal, okay? So, do the math. Can I modify my tarjeta comunitaria for arraigo para la formación? Yes, but why would you modify your tarjeta comunitaria?
If you keep the link with your partner, with the European Union citizen, will not make any sense, and they will not do it.
Accepted. No.
And you have other options. With modification, you can apply directly for a non-lucrative. So that might not be the best strategy. I think that it will be worth it to study your case.
Yes, maybe there is information that is missing. If you can do a consultation, it's perfect. Stella, can a person on a non-lucrative visa enroll as an auxiliar de conversación? This is a very good question, and yes, you can do it. That's why you can also do it as a student when you are not allowed to work. Or don't you agree, Juan? Because I see that you put a face.
No. I was seeing the other
Well, that
questions.
maybe
No.
Because we as lawyers, we also like.
Yeah, I mean, they can fight that
argue.
you sometimes with you actual auxiliar you will be enrolled on Social Security and that
So
stuff.
let me explain you why I say yes. For example, doctors that are working in hospitals but come as a students, that is called MIR. They are doing the specialization MIR. I have the confirmation that they can be working as MIR with the non-lucrative visa. Normally, they have a student permit to work as a MIR, and that is the specialization, but they do practice working. But I did the consultation of doing this as a non-lucrative visa, and they told me that yes. So this is why I think an auxiliar de conversación could also do it. That's how I think, and that's why I think that. Okay, Ellen, do you think 5 months of employment is going to be enough for the freelance visa? I've been an auxiliar for 2 years in October, but looking at options. Employment is going to be enough for the freelance visa to be renewed, you mean, for 2 years?
I mean, because she was an auxiliar de conversación, she was employed and she wants to switch to cuenta propia, but there is information missing in this question.
Okay.
In this question.
But if it's for a renewal, I think perfect thing is 6 months. But 3 months should be okay, the same way that it should be okay as an employee, right, Juan?
Exactly.
Patty, hello, I just submitted my documents to apply for my first student permit renewal. Can I work for 30 hours while the permit is renewing? I think so. Juan, what do you think?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes. For bringing parents over 65 to Spain, must you be a Spanish citizen, or is it not to be a Spanish resident? Okay, if you are a Spanish resident, you need to be 5 years, okay, as a resident, and your parents must be older than 65. Well, 65 is also included, I think. But
65
you must
or older, yes.
65 or older, okay. So, but you must be 5 years, okay? And they have to be dependent, economically dependent on you. And that is the most difficult part to show if they are getting a retirement payment. Okay, Juan is an expert on PhD. I'm a PhD student working with the Residencia Renovada Investigador, okay? Will I be able to get a work permit that allows me to work for any company after my PhD program? Juan.
Yes, you have different options. Either you can directly modify to a job permit, which will advise you to do a normal cuenta ajena, which will give you a lot of flexibility. But if you don't have find a job, you have a special looking for a job permit of a researcher. So let's say that you finish your PhD, but you haven't found a job, then you modify to the looking for a job of a researcher, which is on the same place, like on the UGE. It's fast, it's good, and will allow you to be looking for a job for 1 year. But if you get a job offer, if you've been here for more than 1 year, you can modify directly for a normal cuenta ajena permit under the exception of the 200 article and apply for a direct cuenta ajena, which will give you a lot of flexibility after will allow you to work. If you need something that is fast, then you can also modify it to a high qualified worker because sometimes the PhD will give you this option, but this will tie you to a company. So maybe it's not the best option to apply for.
I told you he's an expert. Colin, if I'm currently on a short stay student visa as a language academy, can I apply for a new 1-year student visa, not a renewal, while in Spain? Or will I need to go back to my home country for this? If you are doing this 30 days before, yes. Okay. But when you say new, it's because there are whole different studies, right? Because if you continue studying the same, even if it's for longer, even if it's for 1 year, if you continue studying the same language or whatever, it's considered a renewal. So you can do it in the 90 days after. But you will need to submit criminal records. Remember this, because maybe you didn't submit it because the course was for less than 6 months. Okay, Yasmin. Hi, not sure if this question have been asked, but I'm playing for Arraigo Social through freelance work. Do you know what the salary requirements will be for that? Also, if I acquire a background check 3 years ago before entering into Canada, still use? No, you cannot use those criminal records. It has to be from the last 3 months or whatever experience you says your document. Okay, so if your document expires, it's valid for 6 months, that there are some that are valid for 6 months, that will be fine for 6 months. But normally, if it is for 3, and if it doesn't say when expires, it is for 3. Okay. And what was the other question?
About the requirements of the job offer, which we already explained regarding the.
But as a freelance, the salary. Juan, what do you think? So we always say, so I don't know. It doesn't say, okay? It doesn't say, because in a freelance visa, they need to see your expenses to know how much you have to be earning.
They are talking about the income. If your income, gross income, is going to be above the minimum salary, they will grant you the permit usually. The business has to sustain itself and sustain you. So we need to give them a proper business that will be earning some kind of money.
Earning around 1,000 euros after expenses, okay? That is the criteria, exactly, more or less. Okay, Jordan, when you do the social insertion interview for the Arraigo Social, do you need to have the job offer before this interview? Normally, yes. Normally, they want to see the contract, right, Juan?
Yeah, they will ask you for it in order to give you the permit. If you go without it, they will have to ask you to get another appointment. So it will be very frustrating.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you, Juan, because I see that maybe this is a lot because you are working a lot. Thank you, Raquel, that is helping us. You don't see her, but is helping us. And thank you, all of you, for the interest. Let's see if you have more questions. I think next Wednesday we will try to be focusing, I don't know, explaining a little more in depth one of the parts that we see that there are more doubts or more interest. Okay, so we are here to help you. And thank you. Thank you. I see you next Wednesday or in the consultations.
Great. Fun. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.